Are you on your trauma healing journey and just don't know where to begin? If so, then this is the channel for you. My name is Courtney and I'm a 15-year vet trauma counselor. I'm now a trauma coach and over the years healed my own trauma. And in this video, I am going to show you the #1 key to starting your trauma healing and finding balance, and that is self-awareness. So what exactly is self-awareness? We hear this term all the time. We need to be self-aware. It just means being present in your body at this moment, aware of your thoughts and any sensations in your body. And that is the exact thing that we need to learn to master so we can start the healing process. Losing our self-awareness is a byproduct from trauma. And because of that, we find ourselves feeling very disconnected and disjointed even when we are actively engaged in an activity. So I'm going to teach you in this video my top 3 tips on becoming more self-aware and how to implement them into your daily routine. Step 1 is learning how to do a body scan, and that's very simple. And what you'll want to do is find a quiet place where you're not going to get any interruptions, where you can sit peacefully with yourself with your eyes closed. And while you do that, you'll want to picture a green laser scanning top to bottom, going through your body, the different planes of your body. And this, to some people, can feel super grounding and relaxing. And to others, it can invoke a little bit of anxiety. But that's okay, and that's normal. The whole goal of this is to identify where in your body you may feel these sensations, such as anxiety, such as discomfort or anger. And you do that by asking yourself questions. And this is where you're practicing the self-awareness. Now, as you're going through the scanning process, you can ask yourself the following questions. And these questions are what makes you become more self-aware. Where in my body am I feeling discomfort? Then you identify where it is. What does that feel like? Are there any situations or people when I'm around them that I feel this sensation? What can this sensation be linked to? Is there anything I've ever done that makes me feel better? That is practicing self-awareness. Now, here's the next step. Once you identify where in your body that you're feeling this discomfort, name it anxiety, depression, cramping, whatever it is, just a sensation, you then want to lean into it. So what does it mean to lean into it? It means to not run away from. So once you identify and you say, oh, okay, I feel that tightness in my chest, and you've answered all of those questions for yourself, then you lean in, which means you spend time with that sensation. You close your eyes and you focus on where in your body you're feeling that, and say out loud, I am present, I feel you. And then, because you're not running away from what you're feeling, you are now mindfully self-aware of sensations in your body. And this starts to trigger parts of your brain that you are ready to heal. The next part is learning to sit as those sensations become a little bit difficult to feel. And that's because you're giving it attention. So stay with it and practice breathing, which is the second step. Box breathing is huge, and it can be done in many different scenarios. For me, I like to breathe in for 4, hold for 4, and out for 4. And I do that 3 sets while still focusing my attention where in my body I'm feeling that discomfort. And what you'll start to notice is a decrease in the sensations that you're feeling and a little bit more power over having control of the things that are going on in your body. And that is one way that you slowly start practicing self-awareness on a daily basis. The third part of becoming self-aware is essential, and it is investigating your triggers. You need to know what sets you off, what creates those feelings in your body, and where you find them in order to actually start the lifting in the healing process. And this is why most people get stuck in these trauma cycles. They feel a certain way, yet they don't ask themselves questions about where is it? Why do I feel that? Where do I identify that in my body and what's causing it? But more importantly, what was the precipitating factors that initially gave me that sensation? Because if you can find that, not only now are you more self-aware and practicing a level of mindfulness that you've never had before, but now you're gaining your control back. When we ask ourselves exploratory questions to help figure out what our triggers are, we then invoke a sense of power over time, where we learn to create new neural pathways in our brain on ways to actually start healing. And as you can see, having a level of self-awareness is where it starts. And having that level of self-awareness is going to give you the foundation to build upon to now dig into and figure out what your triggers are. And you can do that by a simple exercise that I'll show you now. So I've done this really quickly just to demonstrate. You'll want to make 3 columns, one for symptom, the next one for where in your body you were feeling that symptom when you did the body scan, and T for trigger. When we can start figuring out what the trigger is, we can then find patterns. And when we can start finding patterns in behavior and patterns in our triggers, we become that much more self-aware because we've done some self-exploration work to figure out what exactly is triggering the underlying emotion. Because remember, behavior is a manifestation of unprocessed emotions. So our behavior gets better, our response gets better, our executive functioning gets better. We start to know ourselves. We start to feel good about ourselves because we know ourselves. Remember, trauma makes a disconnect within the person's psyche and their physical body. Mindfulness and self-awareness bring you back together. So now I guarantee someone's going to say, well, what if I don't know what the trigger is? What if I don't know what to put in that column? I got you. What you'll want to add in that column is, what were you doing before the trigger? Were you watching television? Were you cooking? Were you driving in your car? What was the precipitating activities prior to doing the body scan that helped you identify what was going on in your body? Now, for most people, you may not remember because you're doing the body scan, let's say 10, 15, 20 minutes later. So if you learn to do a body scan right after feeling a certain way, maybe all of a sudden you just feel anxious. Maybe all of a sudden you just feel angry and you don't know what to do with that. It's the perfect opportunity to do a body scan because you're going to know right away, okay, well, before I felt this anger in my body, I was cooking, I was chopping up something. Why would chopping up something make me feel angry? And then all of a sudden it comes to you. You remember being a younger child and walking in on your mother making dinner. And because you interrupted her, she cut her finger and she took it out on you. Boom. There's your trigger. Now you're more self-aware. Now you're starting to understand that there's triggers in the kitchen. And although they don't belong to you, they are part of your past. And as you can see, practicing self-awareness from learning to do a body scan, from learning to identify where you're feeling these sensations in your body, to then learning to lean into and sitting with and asking yourself questions. This step right here is the key to healing your trauma. There's no other way around it. And if you can get this step down packed, this one thing of learning self-awareness, I assure you that before you know it, you will be healing on a level that you could never have imagined. With self-awareness comes increased mindfulness. And the more mindful that we are in this very moment, the less we learn to live in the past. If we are just focusing on the task that we are doing now and learning to ask ourselves questions, we then can healthily disconnect from the past traumas and those sensations and create a level of self-awareness that helps elevate us above what we've been through. And when we can do that, healing for you will transform on a completely different level. This video was quick and easy just to show you my top 3 tips on learning to be more self-aware and develop that mindfulness for yourself so that you can learn to understand and accept the sensations in your body. And when you can do that, you can figure out where they come from. And when you figure out where they come from, you can learn to start to heal it. So if you liked this video, don't forget to click subscribe, like it, leave a comment, and if you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask because I'd love to be able to answer more of your questions about healing trauma.